kids.
Well, there's a lot of people on it. It was gonna be Randy.
All right, let's make sure everyone is muted.
And Jeanette, I'll keep an eye on the admittance.
Yep, I'm working on it.
All right. You're good?
I'm gonna take my visuals off.
Wow, is somebody calling in from Mars?
Oh, wait.
There's a lot of echo.
Yeah, hello, everyone who's joining. If you could please, once you get in and join us, thanks for being here. If you could mute yourself before we get to, that'd be awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay, well, it seems we have resolved the echo issue. Just joking. All right.
It was pretty convincing.
Well, thank you all for joining us tonight. I'm Darian Fernandez, Chair of the Taos County Democratic Party. I want to thank our officers who are assisting with us tonight, and Jeanette Brasher, Vice Chair, and Technical Guru, George Brown, our Treasurer and Campaign Director, and the guy sending out all the emails and coordinating all the candidates. Thank you very much. And Annette Arayano, our secretary, who also helps get out the word and record these things. I don't know if she's here yet or not, but we are a solid team working together for your benefit tonight, voters, so you can hear from candidates for a couple of important county offices. We've got our candidates for assessor and probate judge. And these are uncontested races in the general. So who you hear tonight will be one of your elected officials in November for county assessor and for probate. So we have compiled a list of questions that have been submitted by voters. A couple have been drafted by the moderators. And if there's time, we will take questions from the audience. We might even have time to have the question, to have each candidate ask a question of the other. So we'll see how things go. As far as the order tonight, we will start with the county assessor candidates, and each candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening statement, and then we'll get into questions for about 30 minutes, and then we'll do a closing statement, and then we'll move on to the probate judges. So thank you very much. That said, we'll go in alphabetical order for the assessor candidates for opening statements. So Randy Baca, that puts you first.
Good evening, Taos County. Good evening, constituents. Thank you to the Democratic Party for hosting this forum. My name is Randy Baca, and I'm running to be your county assessor. I want to have transparency in the office, as well as inform the public on the day-to-day operations of what the assessor's office does and the assessor's role in county government. This is a very important office. The reporting requirements for the assessor, reporting values, is very important because this value that is determined and certified to the state of New Mexico Property Tax Division ultimately turns into your tax bill in November of each year. And I want to make sure all Taos County is assessed fairly and accurately. And we are informed on where those taxes are going and making sure that all of Taos County is paying their fair share. And we are all working together as a community, making sure we have that open communication with the assessor's office and other government offices, with our entities within Taos County, our school districts. And as long as we are working together as a community, we can make great things happen in Taos County. And I just want to make sure that we are all on the same page, and I'm here for you as a constituents.
Thank you very much. Maria Dimas, current county assessor.
Hello, everyone. My name is Maria Dimas. I'm your current county assessor. It is an honor and a privilege to serve all of you. I pride myself with customer service. I have an open door policy. If you come in to visit me in my office and request to see me, I am there for you. I would not turn anyone away. While the pandemic took a toll on how we handle the day-to-day operations in my office. I allowed and accommodated the title companies, the real estate community as well, to come in and get whatever information they needed. It was a challenge for my office, as we were not housed in the main complex. We were housed at the Ag Center, and we had to deal with various issues, such as possibly not having enough broadband to allow my GIS department to be there as well. So we still serviced everyone as needed. Along those lines, not everyone has the technology that they may need as far as getting into the system where I have the forms and such. You know, there's people that actually need to go in and talk to you. And if they need to go in and talk to you, I'm there. If you need to have a conversation in Spanish, I'm also there. So I would love to continue to be your county assessor, and I will give you 100% for another 4 years if elected. Thank you.
Thank you. So Maria, this question will go to you first. On April 19th, the County Commission heard a presentation of the fiscal year in 2021 financial statement audit. Noted in the presentation were items the auditor is required to inform the commission of. They are called material weaknesses, of which there were none, and significant deficiencies, of which there were 5. Can you please comment on the findings, and especially the finding 2021-003 that states deficiencies in the property valuation assessment process?
Yes, I'd be happy to. And first, let me just share with you that with everything that has gone on in the office, I take full responsibility for it. I had to reach out to Darlene Behill, who was the assessor at the time previously. I reached out for help because there were some deficiencies that happened. And what happened with those assessments was we inadvertently included the state assessed, which created a double on our valuation part. And that being said, I take full responsibility. Those findings were in fact on my time. And, you know, every administration has an error, and it just didn't work out that for us to be able to capture that at that time. So we did go ahead and make that correction. From that day forward, we have been super detailed in looking at our valuation. So we have grown Taos County by leaps and bounds, and this year has been no exception. We are just working as hard and as fast as we can. And we do have values that need to be put back in place, and they have been put in place. Thank you.
Thank you. Randy, what's your take on that question?
So on that question, when it comes to the audit process, Taos County is audited by a separate CPA service that audits the financial records of the county and making sure the treasurer is collecting taxes accordingly. And this deficiency that was reflected, which was stated by Ms. Dimas, was a double assessment based off of state assessed values. This went to the state level and was not caught at either level, and therefore caused the deficiency where this tax certificate that was submitted by the Department of Finance and Administration was incorrect. Therefore, these tax rates do not reflect the numbers that should have been reported the first time. But going forward, as long as the current administration and future administrations pay attention to these reports, because they do affect everyone in Taos County. These rates affect all of our entities. They're attached to bonds and budgets that people are relying on this money for our school districts, our water districts. We have our different villages, such as Cuesta, the Ski Valley, and the town of Red River. And we just have to make sure that these are done properly so we don't see this happen again.
Thank you, Randy. This next question goes to you first. Who oversees the assessor's office, and how do they measure the performance of the assessor and the assessor's office?
The assessor is overseen by a branch of the Property Tax Division, which is the state of New Mexico. The Property Tax Division director and its department oversees all of the valuations done by the assessor. They have a yearly audit done by the Appraisal Bureau, where they go into the office and ensure that all of their data is correct, making sure their sales ratio study, as well as their valuation maintenance plan that they report to the county commission, is in line with what the books of the county are being recorded at. So they ensure that there is accuracy, as well as making sure that they're following statutes accordingly.
Thank you. And Maria, another question for you. Property tax is said to be one of the largest sources of income for the Taos County local government, providing emergency services, compensation for employees, etc. What measurements are in place to assure an assessor is maintaining the tax base and keeping up with growth within the county?
Yes, what happens here is that I send out my appraisal staff to go out and verify the values, the improvements, the lay of the land, to make sure that the agricultural properties are actually have that classification correct. Any houses that haven't been on the books, that we put them in the books. Those measures are in place, and I have a senior appraiser, Juan Cintas, who guides and helps my staff accomplish that. And along those lines, I also have Michael Mooney, who is my chief appraiser, who oversees the appraisal department. I have my records keeping people that go ahead and verify for accuracy that those values are in fact, when the land changes over, to see if that land hasn't changed. I do also have another appraiser who oversees the market, who analyzes it to make sure that those values for lands are in place. So, you know, we have a mechanism in place to where we're reviewing those values, and we're looking for accuracy and also for the records to be correct. So thank you.
Thank you. And Maria, how many staff are currently in the office, and how many staff does the office need?
Right now, I have a total of 19. That includes my administrative staff. I am short in my GIS department too. I do not have any temporary or casual employees. The remainder are in fact full-time staff. As far as appraisers, I believe I may have like 8 in line right now. But let me share with you, that has been a challenge, and it continues to be a challenge, again, because of compensation. Whenever you're looking at your take-home pay for an employee that's maybe making $12.54, it amounts to like $8 an hour. So it is a hardship to get those staff members in place. I mean, what can you say with the people that you have on hand? They're doing the very best. My GIS department is overworked right now because we have been short-staffed. I just have 3 of them in there now. And the bottom line is that without proper compensation, I will probably not see a full staff in place for a while. And, you know, we bring 85% of that Taos County budget. So it's terrible when you're thinking that you're put with this restrictions on there. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Maria. Randy, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're currently an employee in the department What's your take on the staffing level?
I'm currently not with Taos County right now. I'm a full-time student with UNM. I'm receiving my bachelor's this semester. So I'm not with the county right now.
Well, thank you for that clarification. I appreciate
And
that.
in regards to staffing, your job as the assessor is to have evaluation maintenance plan. This will indicate proper dates and data that will reflect that your plan to accurately assess all of Taos County and all real property within the county. This will show what you need as the assessor, what staffing you need to properly execute this valuation maintenance plan. By doing so, and if you have this detailed plan in place, you can go to the county commission if they are receptive and indicate how this plan will produce revenue for the county and making sure that everything is accurately assessed. But in order to do that, you have to have the staff in place to do that and making sure they are accurately compensated. But it all starts making sure that you have a plan in place in order to do so. Thank you.
Yeah. So, Randy, Taos County continues to experience a growth rate. What are the effects to Taos County in regards to the property valuation and/or taxes?
So the tax rate and taxes are derived by maintenance and new growth. And what I mean by that is current maintenance is all property that has been valued in the prior year. Anything that is new is considered new growth. Any type of new building, any new infrastructure that is brought into the county, that new growth, technically it drives the rate up. So it'll drive the tax rate to increase. Your maintenance, if you have increased maintenance, which that new growth will then follow for the following tax year as maintenance, that'll actually drive your tax rate down, and that'll therefore reflect the tax burden to be shifted properly to all constituents and all taxpayers to make sure everybody's paying their fair share. So sales and new growth drive that tax rate, and you see the effects with your overall data and reporting that is submitted to property tax. Thank you.
Maria, can you tell us a little bit more about the maintenance report and where someone can find the current version of it?
Yes, you can go to taoscounty.org and it should be posted on there. I do have a plan in place being held back because I don't have the staffing hinders what's on there. But it's moved up the expectation from each appraiser to get more in as far as the site visits and that kind of work that needs to happen is, if I don't have the compensation for them, I still have appraisers that need to take their time, whether it's sick or their annual leave. So the staffing is a big part of it. And while I don't have a full staff to be able to do that, I am counting on the aerial and the change finder that's in there to help us out. And we've been using that and it's working. We're bringing in our values. New projects are being picked up. And like Mr. Baca said, there is that may drive the tax rate up because it's new growth. However, there is also maintenance that we have picked up. And so therefore, hopefully the taxes won't be too up for the majority of us. Thank you.
So Maria, what measurements are in place to determine that Taos County's values are fair and equitable?
Yes. like I stated earlier, I do have 2 people that are experienced in this field very well, along with myself. I look at the appraisal part of it also, because when I first decided to run for office, this was my strong point, was in the assessment. And we do use the 3 approaches to value. One is income, the other is cost, and the other is comparable. So my staff is well versed in that, and also have taken the IAAO classes that they need, the training that they need. And at times it may be a challenge for them, but we all work together. And so we do have measurements in place as to where the work that is brought over to us is overseen and approved by senior appraisers. Thank you.
You. So Randy, can you please explain how the tax rates are determined and how they affect a person's tax bill?
So the tax rates are determined by all of the entities that propose a mill levy. So we have our water districts, we have the county itself, we have our state debt service, we have the villages and surrounding schools. They all have their own operational budgets and bonds that are attached to these tax rates. They submit them to the Department of Finance and Administration every year alongside the county. When the assessor reports their values in June of every year, they certify these values and they calculate the budget and the values for each taxing district, and they produce a rate that is on a tax certificate, which is by mills. So your tax rate, say, for example, we have Taos Soil and Water, it is 1 mil. So what 1 mil means is you are charged $1 per $1,000 in taxable value. What taxable value is full value of your property is 1/3 taxable. So a third of your full value is only taxed at the end of the year. So you will actually see when this tax certificate comes across that these rates are calculated against your taxable value and distributed accordingly to those entities that propose that mill rate for that tax year. Thank you.
Thank you. So Randy, this next question goes to you.
Yes.
Can Taos County offer a better property tax reduction for retirees so they can afford to continue living in their own homes?
People who are on a fixed income, people who have a low income, not just retirees, there is an option. It's called 65 and older valuation freeze to make sure that those that are on a fixed income can maintain their taxes and they can freeze their value, but it doesn't freeze that tax rate going forward. So it will freeze your value of your home, but there's no statute in place for retirees and people who are not on a fixed income to ensure that there is, a break in where they can actually afford these taxes and being able to afford the cost of living here in Taos County. I will look into more of this and see if there is any type of way where we can help all of our constituents, because it is hard to pay these taxes at the end of the day. It's hard when we have sales go up and, surrounding areas, but people who have their home captured, they are capped at, once their home is sold and they are officially owners, that is where they cannot exceed 3% due to lightning tax back in 2001. That also currently helps people where their value is captured and it cannot exceed 3% based off of sales that come around. There's different things, there's a lot of information, and anybody who has questions on that, you can please contact me after and I can see if I can assist you. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. So Maria, like a lot of our tax policy is actually set by state statute. So with that, do you believe an assessor has a responsibility to support, oppose, or initiate changes at the state level on behalf of their constituents?
Absolutely. We need to be able to help the constituents as best we can. There is some items that go with that. There's a process. We would take to the affiliate what we're feeling at that time. The constituent brings over a concern. We get together as an affiliate. The assessor's affiliate meets like 4 times a year, and we bring forward our ideas. The affiliate then would have someone possibly sponsor a bill, and once that bill is sponsored, it goes to the legislator and see if they will allow it to go through. So it is a process. It's not just wanting to do it. It would take all 33 counties to get together on this ride and see where it goes. Thank you.
Very much. So we've got a few minutes left, and we have some time for each of you to ask a question of the other. So Maria, you may ask a question of Randy first.
Okay. Randy, you and I have worked together, and you say your campaign is transparency, and the transparency here is, you know, when you were second in command, you were the assistant, you had great ideas. I want to know why they were never implemented or put in place. You did have some say-so with previous administration, and I don't know if what happened. I mean, you know, I was in the office and I didn't see any action. This ideas that you have now about being transparent, about teaching constituents, where are they at now? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dimas, for your question. We have worked well together. When I was there as the chief deputy, I did have a lot of ideas that did not go forward. I have the respect of the assessor at that time, which was Abel Montoya. Some of my ideas he did not want to push forward. That was ultimately his decision. I do not want to be the one to overstep my boss if I were to make my voice and my voice heard. That's why I'm running now and why I ran 4 years ago. And to make sure that these ideas that I do have for the constituents and making sure there is transparency, I need to be the elected assessor to make those changes. There's only so much you can do as the chief deputy, and I couldn't overstep the assessor.
Thank you.
Randy, you may ask a question of Maria.
Ms. Dimas, I understand that you had stated before in a conversation between you and I that you had tried to go to the property tax division to grant an amnesty program for constituents to report their values without being omitted. If you could just give some clarification on why property tax did not allow this to happen, and what was your plan for this amnesty program, and what did you provide to the state for this matter?
Thanks. So anyway, I reached out a while back. It's been, I'm going to say, at least 1.5 years or so. With the change finder, what we are discovering is that there are improvements that have never been picked up. And so I went forward to the state and I said, is there anything that we can do? Would it be a 30-day or a 60-day notice to allow constituents to come in and render and say, you know what, I hadn't rendered my home, or I added square footage to it, whatever the change may have been to their property at that time. And so I was looking at a plan of 30 to 60 days, and the state said, no, that is not what you need to do. These people have been getting a free ride for whatever amount of years that they've been on the books, that they have not been on the books. If it's 10, you have to do an assessment for 10. That is the max that I can do. And I mean, while I don't like doing it, it's my job to do that. All of us, George Brown, Anjanette, Darian, Charlene, all of us have been paying our taxes for the past 10 years, and this other guys have not paid any. So therefore, how am I doing my job to the best of my ability if I cannot move forward with this law that they have in place? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we've got a question from the audience. And we will go with Randy first on it. The county manager hires most of the assessor's employees, not the assessor, correct?
They are the final decision. The county manager makes the final decision on who is hired, but the assessor, as well as who they choose to be on the interview panel, make that recommendation of who should be hired for the office. And that is taken into great consideration because they're the ones that are hiring for that office. But the county manager does make that final decision of who is hired.
Okay. As a follow-up to that, Randy, how do you then deal with staff shortages that you might not be able to control?
You know, dealing with staff shortages, it's really hard. I mean, the world went through a pandemic. There's shortages everywhere. But being a seasoned employee, you get your, and being a leader of your staff, you get the proper training for the current staff that you do have. Try to make sure that they get the compensation that they need for taking on extra duties. And you get on the ground yourself and making sure that you're getting the proper data you need to properly and fairly and accurately assess your county. So even though you have a shortage, you still have a job to get done. If you don't have the staff to do it, you have to get on the ground and do it yourself, and you lead your team. Thank you.
Thank you. So Maria, is that the case? Is your office not able to hire because it's up to there's a bottleneck in the system?
There is, and the bottleneck is the compensation has the most impact on this. It is the low wages, like I was saying earlier, when you're getting $12.54 an hour and you come home with $8 an hour instead. I mean, you know, some of my staff members have 2 to 3 jobs. I mean, they have to moonlight. There's no way around it. You know, the price of gas is up there, a gallon of milk, everything is affecting the entire office, not just a handful of staff members, you know, and that's a shame, you know, that Taos County doesn't recognize that it's broken in the compensation plan. Thank you.
Okay. So Maria, what type of relationship do you have with the current county commission who, although they don't oversee your office because you're an elected official, do have a say over your budget?
I believe my relationship with the commissioners fair. I mean, you know, it could always use some improvement, and I am there if it needs to be looked at a little bit closer to verify some information. I have an open door policy. I'm transparent. I invite commissioners if they'd like to go in and visit with me at any time. I am there. I am there as much as I can be of a team player. And like I stated, it is fair. It could use some improvement, but you know, we're working on it. Thank you.
Randy, how would you describe your relationship with the county commission that is in charge of the budget for the assessor?
When I was there as a county employee, I believe my relationship was well. I still believe my relationship with the commission is a good relationship. I believe we would work well together in this new role as the assessor if I'm elected. I want to ensure the commission that the assessor's office is on the ground and doing the job and making sure we have the proper tax base to sustain the county and its projects and the employees that are staffed. There is needed to be proper budgeting, so we have proper compensation for staff, not only for the assessor's office, but for all other county employees, because we are one county. We are not just working with just the assessor's office. Everybody needs to be compensated fairly and not just one office. So I agree there needs to be compensation for the assessor's employees, but it needs to be done across the board because it needs to be done fairly. Thank you.
We'll now move on to closing statements. Each of you can have 1 minute. Randy, you first.
Well, thank you again for hosting this forum. Thank you everybody who participated in this forum. For any of you that have any additional questions or any feedback for me, you can please, I will put my information in the chat group. My number is 575-779-8978. My email is randyl.baca@gmail.com. I am here to work for you. I am here to be your voice and to make sure we work together as a community to better our community. I believe that working together and making sure we have that working relationship, we can make amazing things happen here in Taos County, and we can push forward to a new century. And I believe we can do it together. So thank you again, and good evening, everyone.
Thank you, Randy. Maria.
Well, in my closing, I would like to also thank the Taos Democratic Party for having this forum. It has been my pleasure to be here. I had to cancel an event that I was scheduled to, but you know, I made it. My constituents were aware of the situation at hand, and I felt and they felt that it was important for me to be here. But most of all, I want to take a moment to say something about the people that are having those difficulty with the fires and everything else around the community right now. That's also very important. There's been so many things that are going on, and you know, my concentration has been a difficult one. I've lost really close friends, and you know, I just hope that we can all get through this and move forward. I am happy to work with any of you. So if you need me, I am in the office. Give me a call. Thank you.
Thank you both very much for
Thank you.
taking time out of your schedule. Election day is June 7th. Early voting starts May 10th next week. So please make your voices heard. And we will now move on to our candidates for Taos County Probate Judge. So we have with us tonight former Probate Judge Andres Vargas, former Pueblo Municipal Judge, Magistrate Judge, Tribal Judge. Please correct me if my if I'm making a mistake on your position, Charlene Tsoodle-Marcus, and we have Suzanne Valerio tonight. So thank you very much for being here. Candidates, you will each have 90 seconds for opening statements, then we'll get into some questions, and we'll round it out with a little bit of a closing statement. And we will go in alphabetical order. Charlene, that puts you first. Took me a minute to remember my ABCs. Right.
And
Charlene, you're on mute.
Charlene, you're still muted.
Hello, this is Charlene Tsoodle-Marcus. I am running for probate judge because I feel that there's a lot in this position that can be improved. I looked at other states' probate judges' office, and they're doing a lot of stuff that, you know, we need to move on and spread out a lot of the work. I believe in training. I wanted to train the people and give them the knowledge about probate, and also to train them about tribal jurisdiction, because that's something that nobody seems to know about. And I feel that I could bring a lot. I'm also a grant writer. I can look for monies for that, for this job also. And I feel that it will be a good opportunity for me to improve the probate judge office. And I feel that also I can bring all my learnings in the law area to this job. I was a tribal judge with the tribe for quite a while, 5 years or more. And it was quite a learning element, because I did misdemeanors and a lot of children and adult cases. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Charlene. Suzanne.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing me to speak with you all this evening. My name is Suzanne Valerio, and I would be honored to serve as your next probate judge. If elected, I would treat families that seek the assistance of the probate court with kindness, dignity, and respect while reviewing their probate application. It's the court's responsibility to listen to all parties with respect and understanding. The decisions that we make profoundly affect families and their assets. I am running because after nearly a 30-year career in public service, I am not done yet serving this community. I was not prepared to or planning on running for public office, but several members of the community approached me and asked me if I would consider running for probate judge. I answered that call. This is my first time running for a political office. I am a public servant, not a politician. And as a public servant, I have been a proven leader and administrator, and I am involved in my community. As part of the duties managing the district attorney's office for almost 3 decades, I was responsible for working with staff and county attorney and attorneys to carry out Supreme Court and local district court rules. I work well with court personnel, and I know how to file. I know proper procedures in filing and preparing court pleadings. I am a diligent decision maker, and I have guided victims of families through the court process in an effective and impartial manner. I will bring these same traits to the probate court in an efficient and accurate manner to administer the probate code. I humbly ask for your vote for probate judge on June 7th. Thank you.
Unmute, right?
No, it's
You. All right, Juan Andres Vargas. Your opening statement.
Afternoon.
90 seconds.
Can you hear me? My name is Juan Andres Vargas. I was born in Cañon. I was educated in the Taos schools. I have a bachelor's degree from UNM and a Juris Doctorate from Thurgood Marshall School of Law. In 2006, I was elected as the first attorney for Taos County as a probate judge. I was reelected twice for 2 4-year terms. And then after 8 years of serving as a probate judge, I was term limited, and Paloma Romo continued in that for the next 8 years. But for the last, the only 2 jurisdictions that require that the probate judge be an attorney is Santa Fe and Albuquerque, Bernalillo. I want to continue in that because the Taos deserves no better than Santa Fe or Albuquerque. And I am best qualified because since 2006, I have served, I have specialized rather as a probate judge, and I have continued and limited my practice solely to practicing probate law. Accordingly, I am the best qualified for this position by virtue not only of experience, but also because of the empathy and my training as a grief and loss counselor, dealing with people who have suffered grievous loss. And thank you. I want to thank you.
Thank you. So Suzanne, this question will go to you first. What exactly is the responsibility of a probate judge? Are they hearing criminal cases, civil cases?
No. Criminal cases belong in magistrate and district court. Probate cases are mainly estate cases. They are when a person dies and their assets are distributed. That's the probate process that they go forth. Probate court is a court of limited jurisdiction. If a decedent leaves a will, then the probate judge will administer that will or find out if it's a valid will. If it is a valid will, then they will assign a personal representative to distribute those assets. If the probate court determines that it is not a valid will or that the estate is contested, then the estate will move up to district court. In talking to several community members, this is a common theme. They don't know the process and they don't know what probate court is. So what I would hope to do is to educate them about probate court and how to plan for generational wealth, also estate planning, will preparation. One of the things that I heard from many community members out there is that for the last 2 years, they have been able to find out where their case has been and followed along. Prior to that, they had many times that phone calls weren't returned. There was not transparency. So I would be willing to make sure that the probate court is transparent and that families are welcome into the court to ask the questions that they need to about estate planning. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. So Juan Andres Vargas, is probate like a full-time position?
No, sir, it is a part-time position, and that is why the requires only like 1 day a week. But while I served in that position, I was accessible and 24/7 holidays, it didn't matter. I was there to help people through the process of the application. And I did a lot of outreach. I wrote articles for the Taos News explaining to the public, the process of probate law. And I also did outreach by going to the senior citizens in Costilla, Taos, and Peñasco. And I appeared wherever people wanted me to appear to explain the probate process. The probate law is not limited to appointing personal representatives solely if there is a will. The probate code provides that that a personal representative, anybody who loses a loved one, can apply to be appointed the personal representative when there is a necessity to transfer property of the decedent to the heirs. These people are, my time is up, I'm sorry. Thank you but I really do need to say that the judicial process is not limited to wills. The law of intestate succession provides how the property of the decedent is to be divided in accordance with the probate code.
So thank you. All right. Charlene, you mentioned in your opening statement the importance of training, and it sounded like you were talking about trainings for members of the community. Probate judge is hearing a lot of cases about wills and contested estates, and that certainly requires some training too. So what training do you have already that prepares you for this position? And if not, what training is needed to become a successful probate judge?
Well, right now I have experience of working with state government for 30 years. I have a bachelor's in criminal justice. I have a master's in criminal justice. I also have tribal court legal advocate certification through the University of Washington School of Law. And I believe that I'm prepared to take on a judgeship. I believe that one of the things that we need to do some training in, and I know it's just 1 day a week, but I'm willing to do open training for, I know how to set up workshops, and I can have open training for people in the county that wish to come and hear about probate, and also to look at the process of probate, and also to look at other states' probate experiences, so that we can probably at the end of all of this provide a new plan for how we can approach the probate business, because it still can be redeveloped and reinitiated through the courts. And I realize the district court is in charge of probate, but they are very supportive and can also participate with me in doing these training sessions. And I would love to do a hands-on in the community, go out, do public relations, do whatever I could to improve this whole area of probate.
Thank you very much. So this next question is going to go to Juan Andres Vargas first, and my goal here is to make sure that each candidate has an opportunity to go first with a question. So Juan Andres, you mentioned that in the 8 years since you've been out of office, you've been practicing probate law. Is there a potential conflict of interest with your clients if you're back on the bench after election season?
There is no conflict of interest whatsoever. I cannot, if I am elected the probate judge, I cannot practice law I do not intend to practice probate law if I am elected. But there is no conflict at all that I see, nor a potential for conflict. Thank you.
Thank you. So Charlene, we'll go to you next. What does this position pay for 1 day a week?
Well, according to the assessor's office and everything else in Taos County, it's probably very low. And certainly don't get paid as a judge. But, you know, the very thing that is important is not so much the pay as it is getting out there and helping your community. Because I've spent 30 years in public service, already serving New Mexico. So I need to stay out in the community to service those people in our community and to give them as much resources as we possibly can. And that's my feeling about this job. I would like to be your probate officer and judge, and I would like to not only, you know, be available all week long, I would also like to bring some improvements in this area also, because the probate judge can do a whole lot more than what Taos has got it doing.
Okay, thank you, Charlene. So Suzanne, one of the candidates here tonight is an attorney. Another candidate has served as a judge and has heard civil and criminal cases at the Pueblo. And you've worked in the district attorney's office. One could argue that the other two candidates have a bit more experience around the bench and legal issues than you. What do you say to that?
Well, thank you, Darian. That's a great question, because I've been asked that question out in the community, and I would like to, I did a little bit of research on that. So only 3 probate judges in the 33 district in New Mexico have a law degree. And the legislature determined that the probate matters should not be decided by, that should be decided by community judges. In our legal system, many courts of limited jurisdiction are presided over by judges who are not attorneys, such as in magistrate court and municipal court. This reflects the legislature's intent that matters heard in these courts, including probate court, do not require someone to go to law school. A few selected people that had the fortune to go to law school shouldn't be the only people that are allowed to help people in their community. The Uniform Code is the same in all 50 states. It's designed and written for anyone to read it and to understand what happens to their property when they die. Mr. Vargas and maybe Ms. Charlene Tsoodle would like you to believe that the only person running for probate judges is someone that has been a judge or has a law degree. That is not true. Anybody that understands how to read the probate code, understands how to process works in the court, and can work with court personnel and meet deadlines, file paperwork, prepare pleadings, they're the ones that are qualified. And as someone who cares about my community and who has been a public servant for the last 30 years, who's dedicated my life to serving I would say I am the most qualified to continue serving the community, and I would be honored to be your next probate judge.
Thank you. So we've heard all of you tonight talk about wanting to be, well, getting into office because you want to give back to the community and keeping the office open for the community, even though it's a 1 day a week thing. This is a question from a member of the audience in that vein, and it's a good one. So we'll go to you first, Charlene. Let me find it. Roughly how large is the problem of ordinary people of Taos not having wills, and how will you, as probate judge, help solve it?
Yes, there are two types of probate cases that you can see out in the public, and one is the intestate, which is the one with no will, and the testate is the one that has the will. However, one of the things that we need to realize is that's part of our life cycle that we need to really pay attention to, and that is what's going to happen to our property, what happens to our real property, and that's land, also, mineral rights or anything that we might have. What happens to our intangible property? What happens to the tangible property? And who do we distribute it to? These are decisions that are part of our life cycle. We must have that in order so that we can not put people under pressure and not create problems after we're gone. So I'm just saying that perhaps that's one of the things that we need to handle in the workshops, is to try to make people understand that their job isn't done until there's a goodwill that's available out there for those people that are the heirs to your property and also are the devices to your property. And I believe strongly that that's part of our life cycle. It should not be left out. And there are a lot of people without wills. And I know for a fact that in Taos Pueblo, we don't think about wills that much. And I would like to, emphasize that we use this as part of our own life cycle. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Suzanne, same question to you. And you're on mute.
Better. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So thank you. So great question. This is, again, one of the questions I've heard out in the community by many community members is, how do I go about preparing for estate planning? Or where do I go to get my will done? Is there a place that I can go? Do I have to hire an attorney? Those are the things that I want to set up free local clinics with. Hopefully I could partner with attorneys within our district or reach outside sources. One of the things I would also want to do is set up online court dockets like they have in Bernalillo right now, and we have in the criminal process to keep the transparency of probate court. What's the status of your case once it gets filed? And anybody could look that up, whether the office is open or closed. I would like to guide parties through the probate process in an accurate and impartial manner. I would like to teach them and educate them on how to plan for generational wealth. We are losing our properties because brothers and sisters are fighting amongst each other when it comes time to dividing their loved ones' assets. I would like to make sure that their loved ones' wishes and wills are followed through, and that the probate court can make that a reality for these families by continuing to educate them and online dockets. Thank you.
So thank you. Mr. Vargas, same question. And you are also on mute.
Okay. It is evident that the two candidates are not familiar at all with the probate code and the judicial process for appointing and distributing property of the decedent. The probate code provides, when there is no will, provides and sets forth in detail how the property of the decedent is to be disposed of and who it goes to. For example, it provides that the spouse, if there is what share she gets, if there are children, what share the children get, and to what degree of consanguinity are eligible to receive the decedent's property. And these are very critical legal issues that can only be addressed by a person who is knowledgeable in the law. The probate code is very extensive. It is technical. We had, and every year the Supreme Court mandates training for the probate judges. And that is because it is essential that the judge know the law, at least minimally. And anyway, that's time limit is up.
Thank you all very much. So I'm looking at the clock, and we did start late, but we are about an hour into the meeting tonight. So we'll now leave just a minute each for closing statements. Suzanne, you may go first.
Thank you, Darian, for hosting this forum tonight. And thank you to all of you that logged in tonight to listen to tonight's forum. Tonight, you heard my vision for the probate court, although we didn't have much time, so I could get into that farther. But if you'd like to reach out to me, I do have a Facebook account, and I can be reached at srvforprobate.gmail.com. If elected, I will work to set up these legal clinics to help our community members find out about how to estate plan. I will work at establishing online courts and keep the public informed on the status of their cases and keep the court transparent. I will do these things in order for the court to serve the community in an efficient and accurate manner. For the last 3 decades, I had devoted my time to working with the community in the judicial process. I am fair. I have also been a mediator. And so I want to say, since I wasn't able to get into a whole lot of it, but I have been also the HR manager for the last 22 years of the district attorney's office. And I have never had a complaint filed against, an employee complaint filed against the office. And that's because I am a good mediator. I have been trained in mediation. I believe that I'm the best candidate for probate judge. I have a clear vision for the court. And if you share my views, I humbly ask for your vote on June 7th. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Vargas.
Thank all of you for attending this Zoom session. It is an honor to be here before you and asking for your vote. I am the most experienced and the best qualified candidate to be the probate judge. And Taos County deserves no less than Albuquerque and Santa Fe in requiring that the probate judge be an attorney. It is not legally required, but nonetheless, it is, you would judge that by these two major jurisdictions, Santa Fe and Albuquerque, requiring that the probate judges be lawyers, that it is of such great importance that they change the law with respect to them. Taos County could also require that the attorney be, but I want to continue in that tradition because for the last 16 years, we have had an attorney in that office. And it has served at least well to the citizens of Taos to have an attorney as the probate judge. Thank you very much and have a nice evening.
Thank you. Charlene?
I would just like to say that I want to be your probate judge because I have the most knowledge about criminal justice, everything from petitions to pleadings to subpoenas to warrants to everything. I have experience in that area. Also, I have my knowledge, my educational knowledge, and also my experience. I was an Indian justice specialist in the New Mexico Department of Corrections. I was a director in a program, a domestic violence program. And I am a graduate from Taos High School. I lived here all my life. I'm not somebody that came in from the outside and is trying to help the community. I am the community. I belong here, and I feel that I want to use my education and my knowledge to help Taos. And what kind of improvements have been made in the past? Nothing has been made in the past for the probate court. It's just been going along with whatever guidelines is out there. And I think it's time now to look at it, give it a vision, and go forward and start to change things. I'm a grants writer. I can bring money in for training. Thank you. Vote for me.
All right. So thanks to all of you for putting your name in the hat. I wish you all the best of luck. This race, like every other race in Taos County, is going to be decided on June 7th because there are no Republicans running for any of these positions. So it's important to vote. It's important to vote in the primary. And in New Mexico, this is a closed primary state, sort of still. So you have to be registered with a major party. If you know someone who is registered, declined a state, encourage them to change their registration to Democrat so they can have a say in our Taos County races because they're all decided in June. And after that, I ask that you continue the momentum because we've got to keep our governor in office for another 4 years, and we've got to continue this forward progress we've made with our state in terms of raising teacher wages, increasing access to education from the early childhood level on up to college level, and so many other things that are benefiting New Mexicans. So let's keep it true. Let's keep Taos blue. And lastly, I want to invite you all to have some sopapillas with us Friday, May 13th? Yeah, May 13th from 5 to 8 p.m. Friday, May 13th. It's going to be a lucky Friday because we have sopapillas in the courtyard next to Lambert's off of Ben Street. We do have several statewide candidates coming in as well, and we've invited all of our local candidates. So come out, let's have a good time. Let's eat some good sopapillas, and let's get out that vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Darian. Thank you, Mr. Vargas and Ms. Tsoodle. It was a great
Yes,
forum.
thank you all
Thank you.
for being with